good morning. So John, why don't you go ahead and give us an intro?
I'd be happy to. Well, Kevin, thank you again for joining us this morning. Robin, as you know, Kevin is the CEO of the CEP, which is the Ocala Metro Chamber and Economic Development. And Robin is the publisher of BEQ Pride magazine and the founder of Business Equality Network, LLC. And we are here to do the feature story for our joint venture in both publications on the impact of CEP and how it could be a good role model for other chambers to follow.
Excellent.
So John, why don't you tell us about Embrace, though, just in case folks who may see this may want to know a little bit more about your relationship with the Ocala CEP.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Embrace Magazine is a new publication. It's the first ever LGBTQ publication in North Central Florida, based right here in Ocala, Florida. And we have 3 issues out in our first startup year, well received. And as a member of the CEP, we've been in conjunction with the Chamber, attending events, representing the Embrace Magazine, and bringing the LGBTQ community more in the forefront of what's going on with businesses in Ocala and Marion County.
So did we miss anything, Kevin? Is there anything that John didn't say, and just to sort of get us going? I mean, we've been quite impressed with the organization that you have and how welcoming you've been to a broad swath of small businesses. And I think at the essence of today's call, it's really to zero in on some of the things you shared with us in case there were some clarifying things that we wanted to go over. And if we could get like sound bites of some of the wonderful things that you said, just so they'd go along with our article. So did we miss anything so far?
No, and the one thing, purely selfish, but I always like sure to mention is we are the current National Chamber of the Year, as awarded by the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. So it's something we're very proud of. I don't have the trophy in with me right now. Sometimes I keep it very, very close, but that's something we're proud of, not just for the organization, but really for our partners. It is a testament to our community and how we work together.
Wonderful.
That is so amazing. So just to give you a little background, BEQ Pride is a business-focused magazine who leads first with the LGBTQ plus community, but the stories and how we frame what we do is all inclusive. So it's everybody has a role in inclusion, right? And one of the things that was so fascinating was to hear from John after we had decided to partner on some other things, that there was a #1 chamber right there in his backyard. And I'm like, I've been dying to talk to a chamber, get up close and personal and find out, for the lay of the land for our particular constituency and readers, there's sometimes some confusion as to what the role of a chamber of commerce or even an economic development, or when there's a combo in the tourism and all of that,
right,
aside from what an LGBT affiliated chamber with the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, sort of what they do. So we're not going to ask you to answer what they do. We just want to make sure our readers and listeners have a very clear understanding of the depth and breadth of services provided in a main chamber, and then what's the role of diverse businesses within the community.
Excellent. Yeah, those are, if there's anything I enjoy talking about, #1, it's about opportunities here in the Ocala Metro, and then #2, it's really about, I believe the most important jobs in a community are the chamber. With all due respect to my teachers, to my doctors, nurses, first responders, I love them all. They're all fantastic. But if we don't have an entity that's driving business growth, no one's going to live there. No one's going to be paying taxes. No one's going to be able to afford to do any of those other things. And so a strong chamber, I think, is really key to a community being able to be successful.
That's perfect. So can you tell me a little bit about the organization that awarded you the #1 for your size and category? What's that about? And then in general, I really want to understand how you got to your model. I mean, it seems phenomenal. The idea of attracting certain businesses there, making it a place that's lovable, livable, and sunny, might I say, when other places aren't. That's a big selling point. But tell us a little about the national organization that recognized you, and then
I'll tell you a little bit about ACCE, and then I'll tell you some specifics about the CEP as we refer to the chamber here. The Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives is the national membership association for chambers of commerce throughout the United States and Canada. So technically, we're an international chamber of the year, but it's composed of something like 1,500 chambers across those two countries, including and as well as some of our Caribbean friends. But really becomes the voice for chambers and best practices, as any national association does. It's based in just outside of Washington, D.C. They sponsored the Chamber of the Year competition for a number of years. It really evaluates your economic performance, your membership performance, your governance. Are you employing best practices? And then are you doing things that are really promoting and growing the industry? How are you impacting your community in a unique and novel way? And we really love being cutting edge here at the CEP and doing things differently than other people. And then lastly, it's really about how well we tell that story and we look at the keys. So there are 4 categories based on size. We're considered a major city chamber. And so those are for metro areas between 250 and 500,000 people. So we represent the Ocala Metro, which is one of the largest, fastest growing metros that no one's ever heard of, but that's okay. We're working to change that. We're currently home to 372,000 people. We'll hit 400,000 here in another couple of years, probably by 2024. So very fast growing here in Central Florida. We're in the north part of Central Florida, about an hour and 15 minutes north of Orlando, but really fast growing, unique community, a lot of assets. It's we like to say when people hear Florida, they tend to think beaches and made up towns and t-shirts. All those things are good, but this is real Florida. Here in the center, we have our community dates back to 1842, which is unique that you would have a community this old in Florida. And so in our organization, we can date our roots back to 1887, which so makes us a very old chamber with the founding of the Ocala Board of Trade. To tell quickly the story of how we came up with this model, this community was especially hard hit during the Great Recession. We had significant job loss. A tremendous amount of the economy had been built on building and flipping houses. So not that they were going to be owned by individuals or rented, but just I'm going to build a house, I'm going to flip it. The next guy's going to buy it and they're going to flip it. And we're just going to make money that way, which as we know is unsustainable and it was part of the reason for the bubble. But so much focus had gone into that they hadn't developed out the rest of the economy. And so we had this really big double whammy with the Great Recession. We had trouble coming out. We ranked in the number 3 or number 4 in the nation in foreclosures. A lot of struggle and really led by business leaders. They began looking around 2011 saying, we can't keep doing what we're doing. This isn't working. We don't know what the answer is, but the business community was unengaged. Local governments fought each other. There was no partnership. Everybody was doing their own thing. Nothing was happening. And in fact, the slogan became No Ocala. People knew Ocala as No Ocala because nothing was going to happen here. These leaders looked at about a dozen communities and came back and said, what are these communities that they viewed as successful? They said, what were the items that we can find, the unifying factors in these communities? And in every one of them, what they said is there was a singular voice of the business community, that there was one entity that represented the business community. And so that became kind of the goal, is how do we create that singular voice for our community? And again, as business leaders, they looked and said, you had the current chair of the chamber and the incoming chair, you had the current chair of the Economic Development Council and the incoming chair. And said, look, we're writing checks to all these organizations. We're not really sure do you do this and what do you do and where are the gaps and you want to do this, but you want to do this, but nobody wants to touch this piece. And they're like, this can't work. So they said, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna merge these organizations. So really led by in particular one business leader who just said, I love this community. I want it to be successful. We're gonna make this happen. By sheer force of will, he made it happen. And so in October of 2012, what is now known as the CEP was born with the merger of those organizations. And finding chambers and economic development organizations that have merged is not unusual. In fact, in the Southeast, it's the norm. But usually what they do is they take two things, screw them together, but they continue to operate differently. They said, we're not going to do that. We're going to blow everything up. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. What should this organization look like at that point in 2013? What does a 21st century chamber do, and what does it look like? So things that people have loved, and they're great things. And I love a parade, but we don't do Christmas parades. And I love fish fries, but we don't do fish fries. We're about business, and how do we impact businesses, create and retain jobs? So you'll hear us say, you could ask me how many members we have, and the answer is none. We don't have any members. We have 1,500 partners. Because you're a business, you make an investment, you should expect a return on that investment. If you want to be a member of something, there's some great civic clubs. There's great, in this community, we have great country clubs. You can go be a member of those. But this is a business organization. So you're making an investment, you should expect a return. And so we're going to partner together. And the idea is we want to grow our entire economy. We want to diversify. So here that means we lead all the business attractions, the traditional economic development activities one thinks about. And we're very targeted, and we do some unique things we're the horse capital of the world. So we have an equine piece. We have this amazing growing healthcare sector. So we have a healthcare piece. But we also have a strong emphasis on existing businesses. It doesn't do us any good to bring in all the new businesses if we're losing businesses out the back door. So we put the same emphasis on helping existing companies. We lead the entrepreneurship piece, including running the business incubator here, which is incredibly successful. It's unique. Usually that's a government, you'll find cities or counties are doing that, or universities, but we believe no one knows more about how to start and grow a business than businesses. And so we've had great success there, and we do a lot of amazing things across that spectrum. We'll work, including, and I'm sure we'll come back to this, what is our impact initiative, which is really targeting communities that have been disadvantaged. And we believe the great equalizer is entrepreneurship. And so how do we bring those skills? How do we bring access? And phenomenal things happening there. We do advocacy. We work with local governments and really build partnerships. We've run some issue campaigns, sales tax and mill. And then we do a lot of the traditional chamber things. We do them differently, but a lot of education, a lot of networking. We do like to have a good time. So we think both those things can go together. And then we have leadership programs and all those kinds of things.
So when do you sleep? No, just joking.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate that I love what I do. It is all the time. I have a phenomenal team. I think part of the reason we are Chamber of the Year is that the 21 people here who work with me are they're the best team in the country. I've got amazing people.